Hello all, Kyle here, and I've been wanting to do something a bit different. Kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a news corner type thing. You know, there's so much that's happening out there, so much news, so much info, and so much of it is just super painful to read and cringy, and a lot of the things that a lot of us hold dear come into question. So I kind of want to have a, I don't know, news corner. I'm going to try to think of a better name, where I'm playing some game, but then also, you know, kind of breaking down some of the news stories that are out there, some of the stuff that maybe we don't get a chance to see, or maybe like don't get a chance to really digest and not really look at what's going on. So I kind of want to try that today. Try something a little different with that. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Let's start with this article from The Guardian. PayPal ban unfairly lumps Antifa with far-right Proud Boys, critics say. I mean, honestly, and as we'll see in a little bit, I think it's the Proud Boys who should be more ticked off about being linked with Antifa than vice versa. But anyway, let's get into this. Crackdown draws ire from left-wing organizers who say the firm is pandering to white nationalists and extremists, even though they are claiming that the Proud Boys are white nationalists and extremists, but PayPal is pandering to them by banning them. But I guess when you're just so angry, like, you can't be expected to, you know, have a rational argument. PayPal is canceling the accounts of the far-right group, the Proud Boys, and also banning anti-fascists from the program, saying it prohibits people who promote hate or violence. The online payment company's decision to associate anti-fascist activists with a right-wing hate group, I did the air quotes too, has sparked intense backlash from left-wing organizers who say the Silicon Valley firm is pandering to far-right groups linked to white supremacist belief in extreme violence. Once again, how? They're taking them off the platform. How are they pandering to them? A PayPal spokesperson said Friday that it was banning the accounts of the Proud Boys and its founder Gavin McInnes, along with Atlanta Antifa, Antifa Sacramento, and Anti-Fascist Network. The company also recently canceled the account of English Defence League founder Tommy Robinson, a far-right figure in the UK, and has previously removed 4 other Antifa groups.
I'm really tired of the equivalence of anti-fascists and fascists, said Zoe Samudzi. And I'm not being a jerk. Anyone who's watched this channel know I can't pronounce words. An Oakland writer who has supported anti-fascist protests, which, you know, we'll get into in another video. She noted McInnes' history of, and the history link takes you to the Southern Poverty Law Center, so you know it's just a paragon of integrity, of promoting violence, which takes you to, that hyperlink takes you to a YouTube page, which I'll do a whole separate video on that, you cannot compare that to the anti-fascists who are trying to defend communities from that violence. It's really cowardly to not attempt to make a distinction between the two. Because, oh yeah, I forgot the new golden rule that if you put anti-fascist or fighting fascists in front of something, you can pretty much do whatever the hell you want. It's justified. The end justifies the means because we're stopping fascists. But more on the violence of Antifa in a moment. But first, am I a fascist? I know I'll probably get accused of it for making this video, but let's look at the facts. According to Merriam-Webster, fascism, a political philosophy, movement, or regime, such as that of the fascisti, that exalts the nation and often race above the individual, and that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of opposition. Okay, so 1, I value the individual. I'm for individual rights. I don't believe that the nation is above the individual. I believe that's one of the things that makes America so great, is the fact that we focus on the individual. That every individual has its individual freedoms that don't come from the government. 2, a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader. Once again, doesn't describe me at all. I'm not big government. In fact, I'm all for government getting out of the way of small businesses, getting out of the way of individual people's freedoms and liberties. 3, severe economic and social regimentation. Oh, no. Free market all the way. You know, we see what happens when government gets in bed with businesses. Enforceable suppression of opposition. Oh no, you have every right to come and to say whatever you want. And that's what's so great about this. You know, Sam Levin, he can say whatever he wants. I have every right to point out why I disagree with his arguments in this paper. But I'm not calling for violence. I'm not even calling for him not to say what he wants to say. I don't know how much we can say about that for Antifa, though. One reason for that is the state of New Jersey classifies Antifa as a domestic terrorist group. So, yeah, you know, you might be right. Maybe we shouldn't compare them to the Proud Boys, because nothing says defending communities from violence quite like domestic terrorism. Anti-fascist groups, or Antifa, are a subset of the anarchist movement and focus on issues involving racism, sexism, and anti-Semitism, as well as other perceived injustices. Self-described Antifa groups have been established across the United States and in several major cities, including New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, and San Francisco. A majority of New Jersey-based anarchist groups are affiliated with the Antifa movement and are opposed to fascism, even they put it in quotes, racism, and law enforcement. Antifa groups coordinate regionally and have participated in protests in New York City and Philadelphia. There are 3 loosely organized chapters in New Jersey, known as the North Jersey Antifa, the South Jersey Antifa, and the Hub City Antifa in New Brunswick, Middlesex County. You gotta love, you know, groups that are proclaimed to, you know, be protecting the community, especially when they're against, you know, the people who protect the community. But we don't just have to take New Jersey's word for it. Let's look at this article from Politico, published September 1st, 2017. FBI, Homeland Security warn of more Antifa attacks. Confidential documents call the anarchists that seek to counter white supremacists domestic terrorists. But it would be unfair for PayPal to classify them as violent. Federal authorities have been warning state and local officials since early 2016 that leftist extremists known as Antifa have become increasingly confrontational and dangerous, so much so that the Department of Homeland Security formally classified their activities as domestic terrorist violence, according to interviews and confidential law enforcement documents obtained by Politico. But yeah, this is clearly PayPal just pandering to the alt-right. By the way, what's ever happened to personal responsibility? But that's another topic for another day. Previously unreported documents disclosed that by April 2016, authorities believed that anarchist extremists were the primary instigators of violence at public rallies against a range of targets. They were blamed by authorities for attacks on the police, government, and political institutions, along with symbols of the capitalist system, in quotes again, racism, social injustice, and fascism, according to a confidential 2016 joint intelligence assessment by DHS and the FBI. So the evidence just seems to be getting more and more clear. You know, it's a tactic by saying, well, it's not fair to lump us in with the alt-right and nationalists and all that. All right, fine. That doesn't mean that you don't deserve to be banned from PayPal. And two, fine. You're not getting lumped in with the alt-right. You're getting lumped in with terrorists. This video is getting pretty long, and I can go on all day about this, so we're going to call this part 1 of this whole PayPal, Antifa, Proud Boys saga. So let's just cut ahead to the results of the election, and we'll continue with all the news around PayPal, Antifa, and the Proud Boys in an upcoming video, part 2. So we're going against Skeletor. Blue, red, blue, blue. Yeah, for some reason on this game when I set it on ultra hard, I can't beat Skeletor. Which is a little amazing considering I don't think she'd have a very successful run for president. But who knows, I could be wrong. And look at that blue wave. I don't know that. I mean, am I gonna break 300? Well, she hasn't won yet. She's at 255 to 275. 680 she won. Yeah. Yep. I gotta concede this one. Skeletor beat me again. Like she always does. One of these days I'm gonna beat Skeletor. One of these days. And I ran women too.
I'm not finished, fake news.
There's going to be a whole bunch of things we don't tell Mrs. Clinton.
Don't mess with Texas.
Frankly, I love women.
Oh, look, I got the mayor's drink by mistake. No ice.
And changes her hair.
And it needs to be government.